He was called the Chosen One, the Balance Bringer, the Force's golden child, with a lightsaber and abandonment issues. But what if the entire prophecy was just a convenient excuse to justify turning a 9-year-old slave into a galaxy-wide insurance policy? Think about it. They didn't free him to save him. They freed him because he might be useful later. Nothing screams destiny like midichlorian math and a Jedi recruitment pitch that sounds suspiciously like a sales quota. Anakin wasn't adopted. He was acquired. He didn't get a family. He got a curriculum. And the Jedi Council treated him less like a person and more like a walking lightsaber with emotional turbulence. They told him to repress his feelings, then put him in the middle of a war, then acted shocked when he had a meltdown the size of a Death Star explosion. That's not training. That's sabotage in a robe. And while everyone was debating his feelings and spying on his dreams, no one noticed the fact that Anakin was literally crumbling under the weight of expectations that no one else had to carry. Obi-Wan had mentorship. Yoda had centuries of wisdom. Anakin had nightmares, war trauma, and a council that looked at him like a ticking time bomb with nice hair. The Jedi used him. The Republic decorated him. The Sith manipulated him. And the fans still argue over whether his fall was a choice or a setup. Like we're all ignoring the fact that he was shaped by a system that built him up just to break him down. He wasn't born a villain. He was manufactured by a galaxy that didn't know what to do with someone who felt too much and obeyed too well. He didn't fall to the dark side because he was evil. He fell because he was tired. Tired of being a pawn. Tired of pretending that duty was the same thing as freedom. Tired of choosing between silence and suffering every time he tried to protect the people he loved. And when he finally snapped, everyone acted surprised. Like they didn't spend years loading the weapon and handing him the trigger. In this video, we're breaking down how Anakin Skywalker was never the chosen one. Just the most powerful tool in the galaxy's arsenal. We'll dive into the ways the Jedi, the Sith, and the entire war machine turned a hopeful kid into a monster in a mask. And how the only real choice he ever made was the one that set him free in the end. And yet, even after all of that, there was still a spark left in him, buried deep beneath the black armor and the heavy breathing and the Sith title. There was still a glimmer of the boy from Tatooine who looked up at the stars and dreamed of something better. And that spark was Luke. Luke didn't try to kill Vader, he tried to reach him. He saw through the fear and the hatred, through the power and the pain. And he believed there was still someone worth saving in there. Not because of destiny, but because of love. And that belief changed everything. Anakin didn't defeat the Emperor with a lightsaber. He defeated him with a choice. One that wasn't made for him. One that wasn't ordered or predicted or manipulated. For the first time in his life, he acted purely on his own terms. And it saved not just his soul, but his son's future. It's easy to forget how rare that is in Star Wars. A moment of pure agency. A true rejection of both sides. No prophecy, no doctrine, just a father choosing to protect his son. And in that instant, Anakin wasn't a Jedi or a Sith. He was finally a man making his own choice. That's why his redemption matters. Not because it undid the damage, but because it proved he was never beyond hope. Just buried beneath layers of expectation and control that he finally shook off. But even with that redemption, we can't ignore the cost. Anakin's life wasn't a legend. It was a tragedy. A story of someone who was always told what he had to be, and never allowed to ask what he could be. From Watto's workshop to the Emperor's throne room, he was passed from master to master like a prized weapon on a shelf. He was never the chosen one, not in the way people hoped. He didn't bring balance, he brought destruction. Not because he was evil, but because he was used, reshaped, and aimed like a missile at whoever held the launch codes. And when he finally broke free, there was nothing left of him to save. No future to build, no past to reclaim. Just a legacy of ashes and a name spoken in whispers across a shattered galaxy. Anakin Skywalker didn't die as a warrior or a savior. He died as a man who never truly lived. The myth says he fulfilled the prophecy, that he brought balance by destroying the Sith. But the truth is simpler and much sadder. He was never chosen by the Force. He was chosen by the galaxy to be a tool. And only at the very end did he finally choose something for himself. That's not a story of destiny fulfilled. It's the story of a weapon that wanted to be a person. And a galaxy that wouldn't let him. What hurts the most about Anakin's story is how deeply he just wanted to help people. He wasn't greedy for power. He was desperate to protect the people he loved. His mother, Padme, even Obi-Wan, every choice he made came from fear of losing them. And yet every path he took pushed them further away. His mother dies in his arms, and the Jedi tell him to let go. To accept death as the will of the Force. But how do you say that to someone who was born into chains? Who watched everyone around him suffer while the Jedi meditated in marble temples? It's not wisdom, it's indifference wrapped in doctrine. Then there's Padme, the one person who made him feel whole. but their love was forbidden, hidden, treated like a sin, so he keeps it secret, isolated, terrified, and when he starts having visions of her death, he begs for help, and the Jedi shrug. They say, trust the Force, but the Force doesn't hold a hand at night. So when Palpatine offers an answer, even a twisted one, it doesn't sound evil, it sounds like hope, it sounds like control, it sounds like finally doing something instead of waiting for fate to take another piece of him, and that's the moment he slips. Not out of hate, but out of love that was never allowed to breathe. Anakin never wanted to rule, he just wanted to save the people the galaxy kept putting in danger, and in trying to save them, he lost himself completely. Here's what's really insane though. Despite everything, Anakin was still one of the most powerful Force users to ever live. His raw ability was unmatched, his instincts were lightning fast, and his control over the Force bordered on mythic. Even the Jedi were both amazed and terrified of what he could become. He was a one-man army in the Clone Wars, wiping out separatist fleets, surviving duels against Dooku, Ventress, Grievous, and even holding his own against Obi-Wan, who literally trained him from day one. Anakin didn't just fight well, he fought with purpose, with passion, with a brutal elegance that no one else matched, and that's the problem, because everyone saw what he could be, but no one helped him figure out who he was. To the Jedi, he was a weapon of balance. To Palpatine, he was a tool of domination, and to the galaxy, he was a symbol of fear or hope, depending on the day. No one stopped to ask what Anakin wanted. No one nurtured his creativity, his empathy, his humor. Yes, he had humor. Remember his banter with Obi-Wan, his clever tactics, his droid-building hobby. That was the real Anakin, buried beneath orders and armor and constant pressure to be something more. We all know the line. The Chosen One will bring balance to the Force, and from the moment Qui-Gon said those words, Anakin's life was treated like some mystical equation with only one possible solution. But what if the prophecy was never real to begin with? What if it was just a clever way to justify turning a traumatized slave boy into a shiny new Jedi prototype? Because here's the thing, no one ever really asked Anakin what he wanted. They tested his blood, debated his feelings, and debated whether or not he was dangerous. Like he was a nuclear reactor instead of a child. Qui-Gon bets everything on him. Obi-Wan gets handed the fallout, and the Jedi Council just goes along with it out of sheer reluctance. That doesn't sound like faith in a prophecy. That sounds like people placing their hopes on a weapon they didn't even understand. From the very beginning, Anakin wasn't treated like a person. He was treated like potential energy, a tool to be wielded, a bomb to be diffused. And everyone hoped he would explode in the right direction, and you can see it in the way they train him. Not to find peace or clarity, but to follow orders and bury his fear. He wasn't guided, he was programmed. Every lesson was about restraint, every warning about control. And not once did anyone stop to say, hey, maybe this kid needs actual therapy. Okay, so let's talk about the Jedi for a second. Because if Anakin was a weapon, the Jedi were the ones who forged him, and not with wisdom or compassion, but with the emotional finesse of a malfunctioning training droid. The Jedi Order saw danger in Anakin, but instead of helping him manage it, they smothered it with rules and lectures. They told him to bury his emotions, to reject attachment, to suppress fear and grief and pain, which is a really great strategy if your goal is to create the world's most emotionally unstable war machine. It's like telling a volcano to cool off by reading philosophy. Sure, it might work, until the lava hits the village. And once the Clone Wars kicked off, they didn't hesitate to throw him right into the fire. Suddenly the kid who was too dangerous to train is leading legions into battle, racking up kills, and getting medals for it. All while the same Jedi who doubted him now pat him on the back and call him a hero. You can't have it both ways. You can't tell someone they're too emotional to be trusted, then hand them a lightsaber and put them in charge of a battalion. Anakin wasn't trained to be balanced. He was trained to be useful. And when he stopped being useful, they kicked him to the curb with a suspicious glare and a Jedi trial. The real betrayal wasn't Anakin turning against the Jedi. It was the Jedi never truly accepting him in the first place. They treated him like a loaded weapon, and then acted shocked when he went off. Thank you for watching the whole video. I make videos because of my love for Star Wars and Marvel. I've been asked countless times how I get my subtitles, and I generate them automatically with a tool I built. That same tool can be used here on my website. It's completely free and doesn't require signing up. My website contains the subtitle generator that is perfect for any video, blogging post, where you can sign up with your email and receive notifications for when I post, and also my 3 channels. Critical Analysis Hub focuses on Star Wars and Marvel movies. Critical Analysis Hub Plus looks at Star Wars and Marvel shows. And Critical Analysis Hub XP centers on video games, like The Last of Us series, Jedi Survivor, and GTA 5. Thank you for being a fan.